Okay, let's work some problems for lesson 7-2. In the first problem, it wants us to evaluate and write our answers as fractions. So if I have 3 over 5 to the third, I am not going to change my 3. And on the bottom, I'm going to have to do 5 to the third. And I don't expect you to not use your calculator, but you can probably do this one. 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. Then, if I want to do negative 3/4 squared, notice that I'm going to have negative 3/4 times negative 3/4. So I'm going to actually end up with a positive, and the top of this is going to be 3 squared, which is 9, and the bottom of this is going to be 4 squared, which is 16. And that should do it. Okay, number 2. I need to use the power on a power, or whatever name you want to give that rule. That 2 on the outside of the parentheses is going to affect every single part of this. So I have w squared squared, which happens to be w times w twice, which will be w to the 4th. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have negative 7 squared. And negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. I'm going to have u to the 3rd squared. So I'm going to actually multiply those exponents. 3 times 2 is, hang on, wrong button, 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So, because I would have u to the 3rd, u times u twice, which would be 6 times, right? All right, when I have 35 ABC over 56 BC, I can cancel things that match up. So, notice that I'll simplify the numbers if I can. Let's see, I thought there might be an A in there, but there's not. But there's definitely a B over B and a C over C. So those guys are going to cancel. I have 35A over 56. So I think there's a common 7. So 7 goes into 35 5 times. 7 goes into 56 8 times. So I think I have 5A over 8. 5A over 8. All right. X to the 6 over x squared. The rule is that we're going to subtract 6 minus 2. So I'm going to have x to the 6 minus 2 is 4. And the reason that works is because we're going to cancel all of the x's that line up. So 2 of them are going to line up top to bottom, leaving 4 of them on the top. Number 5. 6x to the 6th over 54x to the 4th. So I am going to be simplifying 6 over 54. And 6 goes into 54 9 times. So there's really a 1 on the top and a 9 on the bottom. I don't have to put the 1 on the top unless I don't have anything else to put on the top. I have x to the 6th over x to the 4. So that's x to the 6th minus 4, or x to the 2, because there's 2 of them left on top. And then on the bottom, I have 9, because I simplified my 6 over 54. So I think that is correct there. Number 6. All right, we're simplifying again. I have y to the 6 over y to the 6. Well, 6 minus 6 is 0. Y to the 0 is going to be 1. And you can see that the 6 y's on the top line up with the 6 y's on the bottom, and they're going to cancel out. But now I need to do z to the 3 minus 5, and I have a negative exponent. That would be z to the negative 2. And the reason being is, if I wrote out z times z times z on the top and z times z times z times z times z on the bottom and canceled what's canceled all the z's that line up, I end up with 2 of them left on the bottom. Z to the negative 2 is the same thing as writing 1 over z to the 2. I'm not sure which they want us to write here, so I'm just going to put check. And it says write your answer without using negative exponents. So that's fine. We are going to actually then write it as a fraction. There's a 1 on the top, and z to the 2 lives in the bottom where it is happy. All right, 30 u to the third v to the third over 48 u to the fifth v squared. We need to simplify the 30 over 48, and that would give me 15 over 24, but that seems like there's a 3 in there also, so 5 over 8 over 8, and that means that it was a common 6, so 30 divided by 6 is 5, and 48 divided by 6 is 8. Okay, carrying on up here, let's see, u to the third over u to the fifth is u to the 3 minus 5. Actually, we want to put that on the bottom. We have 2 u's left over on the bottom, or u to the negative 2, because 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Okay, and then I have v to the third over v to the 2. V to the 3 minus 2 is just v to the 1. V to the positive 1 means the v is going to live on the top. So notice that I just canceled out matching things and then kept what was left over. I also talked about it using the rule where we subtract the exponents, top minus bottom. All right, I am going to write this down. I need to use this for, and I need to use it on every single piece of this, so I'm just going to write out some stuff. I have 2 to the 4th, and then y to the 3rd to the 4th. Y to the 3rd to the 4th. Instead of writing that all the way out, I'm going to do this math. 3 times 4 is 12, so I have y to the 12th. Okay, that's my top. On the bottom, I have 3 to the 4th, and then I have x squared to the 4th. So I multiply that to get x to the 8th. And I have y to the 7th to the 4th. I multiply that to get y to the 28th. All right, let's simplify a little further. 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. I'm going to be able to cancel some y's there. 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. I have x to the 8th and y to the 28th. Okay, so the x's don't have anything top and bottom, so I'm going to leave x to the 8th alone, but I need to deal with y to the 12th and y to the 28th. So 12 minus 28 is going to give me a negative number. And so I actually have 16 y's left in the bottom. So all 12 cancel out up top, and 12 of them cancel in the bottom, leaving behind a 16. Or you could do this math and know that the negative number means they are on the bottom. So I have 16 on the top, and then 81, x to the 8th, y to the 16th. 16 over 81, 16, 81, x to the 8th. This is a bit of a trick to remember the numbers. Y to the 16, if I remembered them right. There they are. And it's a trick, very unwise thing to delete your work before you enter the answer. That won't happen to you because you're writing this in your math notebook. All right, fun. This is an awesome problem. Anything in the world to the 0 power is, 1. Anything. Actually, 5 to the 0 power is a 1, but there's a negative on the outside of that. So it's actually going to end up being a -1 because we have a negative. That's like -1 times 5 to the 0. So -1 times 1 is -1. 8 to the -2 is the same thing as 1 over 8 to the 2. Do they want us to do 64? I'm not sure. 8 times 8 is 64. That -2 just means that that exponent is very unhappy, wants to go live in the bottom of the fraction where it isn't right now. There we go. 5/9 to the -2. A little trick with fractions is that the negative exponent is going to cause my fraction to flip over. And if I flip it over, then my exponent is happy. So I can think of it like this, equals 81 over 25. Or I could think of this, 5 to the -2 over 9 to the -2. 5 to the -2 is wanting to go live on the bottom of the fraction. 9 to the -2 is wanting to live on the top. Remember that we don't times by 2. Squaring means we multiply it times itself. 81 over 25. Check. -2 to the -2. So remember that negative exponents aren't negative numbers. -2 to the -2 means that we are going to put our -2 squared in the bottom of a fraction. Now it's happy, so we take away that negative exponent, but we still have a -2. -2 times -2 is 4. So this is just 1/4. -2 to the -2 becomes 1/4. Six n to the -4. Notice that the n to the -4, that -4 is not on the outside of parentheses, and it does not apply to the 6. So 6 is happy. It's going to stay where it is, but n is not happy. So we're going to send n to the 4th to live in the bottom of a fraction where it is now happy and does not have a negative exponent. Y to the -5th times y to the 2. But look what happens when we do this. Y to the -5th is very unhappy, and so we're going to send it to live in the bottom of the fraction where it is now happy. Y squared is on top, where it can now do some canceling with the y to the 5th in the bottom. And so we have 2 minus 5 is 3. We have y to the 3rd left on the, this is 2 minus 5 is -3, so it's on the bottom of a fraction. Okay, there's another way we could deal with this. We can actually use the rule that says we add. Okay, so y to the -5th times y squared is the same as y to the -5 plus 2, which equals y to the -3rd, which means 1 over y to the 3rd, because our unhappy exponent wants to live in the bottom of the fraction where it is now happy. So we have 1 over y to the 3rd. You can look at these different ways. Come back to me. 1 over y to the 3rd. You can look at it different ways. You should be able to see it from different directions and get the same answer. All right, x to the -9 wants to go live in the bottom. It wants to go live in the bottom with x to the 4th. And so guess what? We're going to let him do that. If I have x to the 4th and x to the 9th in the bottom, I have x to the 13th, because I'm going to add those and tell how many x's are living in the bottom there. Nobody's living in the top apartment anymore because nobody wanted to. Oh boy. Okay. Let's simplify this out. Okay, the 15 is happy the way it is, but it could cancel with the 3. 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 15 5 times. So we'll just simplify that to start with. We have x to the negative 2 on the top. It is unhappy, so we're going to send it to live in the bottom. We have y to the 9th on the top, and we have y to the negative 7 on the bottom. So we're going to send these 7 y's up here to live with those 9 y's, and we are going to end up with y to the 16th. Okay, we could apply the subtraction rule. This would be y to the 9 minus a negative 7, which is add the opposite, 16. So y to the 16 is going to be living up there. Then we have z to the negative 8, and we have z to the 5th on the bottom. The negative 8 is unhappy, wants to go down there and live with those other 5 z's. So we are going to have negative 8 minus, look at what, negative 8 minus 5, which becomes plus a negative. Negative 13 means we are going to have z to the 13 living in the bottom of the fraction. Okay. Write these out however you have to keep them straight. It's easy to mess up. They're not difficult problems. We're just doing a lot of sorting. Okay, let's do this. What I have left in the top is 5y to the 16th. I wrote this down because I actually probably couldn't remember it long enough to write it in here. 2 and z to the 16. Check. And I have messed something up. What did I forget? 5. I've got the x in the bottom. 9, 16, and the negative 8 minus. Oh, I wrote a 16 instead of a 13. There we go. Easy to make a mistake. I wrote it down wrong. All right, v to the 4th to the negative 3. We are going to multiply those numbers to get v to the negative 12. V to the negative 12 is the same as 1 over v to the 12th. We're just going to put him down there where he is happy, so we can write it without using negative exponents. There's nothing wrong with negative exponents, but you're often asked to write it without, partly probably to just prove you know what that means. Okay, this exponent 4 on the outside is going to have to affect everything, so I'm going to deal with that. We're going to have negative 2 to the 4th power. We have x to the 5th to the 4th power. We have y to the negative 2 to the 4th power. We can actually just use the math before we even try to sort top to bottom. Negative 2 to the 4th power is going to be a positive number because this is a even number exponent. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Okay, x to the 5th to the 4th, we multiplied those two numbers to get x to the 20th. And negative 2 times 4 is going to give us y to the negative 8. When I sort this out, I am going to have 16x to the 20th over y to the 8th on the bottom. And so when I enter that answer, I have 16x to the 20th and, oops, okay, nice. X to the 20th, and on the bottom I have y to the 8th. Check. All right, lots of negatives going on in this one. Remember that if I have a negative exponent outside of parentheses, it becomes a little easier to think of just flipping everything over. 2y to the negative 6. It's not going to change any of my exponents inside just yet, but I just changed that to get rid of that negative. You don't have to do that. In fact, let's just solve it without doing that first. So if I multiply negative 2 times negative 2, I get y to the 4th on top, and on the bottom I have 2 to the negative 2. So we'll just put that here, 2 to the negative 2. And then y to the negative 6 to the negative 2 is y to the 6 times 2, which is 12. Negative times negative makes positive. All right, so 2 to the negative 2 wants to go live on the top. Rather than making a fraction and then trying to move it, I'm just going to do 2 to the 2 on the top where it's happy, and I can get rid of the negative exponent. That guy just wanted to go up there. I need to cancel my y's, so I have 4 minus 12, which equals a negative 8. And that means that y to the 8 wants to stay living in the bottom of the fraction. And do we have anything else here? I think this is it. 4 over y to the 8th. Let me go back to my original idea here and show you that that should work out also. 4, 2 squared is 4, and then y to the negative 12 over y to the negative 2 times 2 to the negative 4. Negative 12 minus negative 4 is negative 8. So I still have a 4 on top, and y to the negative 8 is going to go on the bottom and be happy. Okay, 4 over y to the 8th. 4 over y to the 8th. Check. Okay, last problem. All right, if you want to, you can flip everything over so you don't have to deal with that negative 2, or you can just straight up do the math. Let's just use it. So I have 3 to the negative 2. I have m to the negative 1 to the negative 2. I have n to the 4th to the negative 2 over 5 to the negative 2, n to the negative 4 to the negative 2, m to the negative 5 to the negative 2. Yikes. Okay, this guy wants to go live in the bottom of the fraction, so 3 squared, let's send that down there, and that's a 9. 5 to the negative 2 wants to go live on the top, so let's put that 5 squared, or 25, up there. Okay, m to the negative 1, negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2, so I just have m squared. That's fine. N to the 4 times negative 2 is n to the negative 8. N to the negative 8 wants to go live in the bottom of the fraction and be happy. Okay, I'm going to the bottom now. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8, so we'll leave him there. And then negative 5 times negative 2 is m to the 10, leave him there. Okay, still combining things. Keep the 25 where it is, the 9 where it is. M squared on the top and m to the 10th on the bottom. 2 minus 10 is negative 8. So we're going to keep m to the 8th on the bottom. These guys, we're just going to add them together, n to the 16th. So 25 over 9 n to the 16th, m to the 8th. 25 over 9 n to the 16th m to the 8th. Check. Right? Let me know if you have any other questions.